So I basically was driving and put my hand into the thing and just started stuffing my face.
Alan Partridge.
Yeah, on my own supplies. I was no one else going to eat it, I might as well eat it.
We were like, watching a burger, like we'd love to try it. He shut us down and he's like, no mate, I've got like 200 people on the waiting list, you want to get it. And then one day out of the blue, he emailed us on like a Wednesday and was like, there's a spot this Saturday, you can come in, we're in the schoolyard market. If you want it, it's yours, let me know by like end of today. When we started, there were 2 burgers on the menu. It was the black bear, and then the brisket, which
my baby.
It was. I'm always like the one that's a little more cautious. Liz was like, she was like, fucking quit your job already. I was like, but what if we don't get it? And you basically scan it and it says, your fries are probably cold. Sorry. But next time, do this. Salt and pepper, flip it over, and we flip it over, we put these onions, which are very lightly pickled. And then that heat from that kind of just gently warms through those lightly pickled onions.
Oh, yes.
And then it's completely different. It tastes less beefier, which sounds strange.
Yeah.
That slightly pickled onion elevates the taste of the beef. Onion jam on top, smoked bacon, and the bacon we get super thinly cut. We view it as like a seasoning, so it's like salty and smoky and it seems like.
Stu, thank you so much for doing this, mate. As I said, I've been a huge consumer of your burgers for many a time. I think I first got my mitts on it during COVID when there was like fucking no hope in the world. But I went to my mates in Brixton, Effort Road, as I was saying before we hit record, and I ordered it on Deliveroo, the brisket burger. And mate, it was like it was a steaming parcel of joy. It was like the only thing that gave me a bit of hope, and I tucked into that fucking thing. And yeah, I love it. As I said, my Romanian friend Raz, he lives by Canary Wharf, so he's probably an ardent fan. Well, he is an ardent fan, and I love watching your journey. Love what you're doing. So very grateful you're doing this, mate. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, thanks for having me on. Like COVID time was mad actually in Brixton. We were shut for like 2 weeks. So when COVID first hit, we closed, like, because everything shut down.
Yeah.
We got open super quick. We were just like, well, we were at home for 2 weeks and we were like, what, this is shit, let's get out there. And like, we were one of the first kind of few people that opened back on like delivery again.
So were you living in London at this time?
Yeah.
Whereabouts in London were you?
So in Hertford, so just north of London.
Oh, fucking yeah.
And we opened and it was mental, because everyone was at home, so as soon as you turn the machine on, it's like ding, 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 it's fucking crazy.
Well, it was him, it was me, mate. I was
brisket.
Fat little fucker, mate, in Brixton. I was like, what am I doing? It became like a Friday thing, going around to my mates and then just stuffing my face. I also like had a bit of a crosstown donuts obsession at that period of time and just got very fat. But what I'd love to start with is Canada. Mm-hmm. So I know the business kind of started when you and your now wife came back from two ski seasons.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere that you talked about like banging burgers, which they fucking are, and a Canadian style of hospitality.
Yeah.
And I think most people when they think of hospitality, they think of kind of le français and or it's not, Canada doesn't spring to mind. I'd love to know what's the unique. Could you describe the unique texture of specifically Canadian hospitality?
Yeah, so when we first moved out there, we had just finished uni and kind of went out, and like how in Britain it's very like standoffish, and you over there their hospitality is like genuine. Excuse me. You go into just a shop that's selling clothes, and they're like, hey, how's it going? How's your day? And you're just like, can you leave me alone, please? And then they're like, can I get you any help? But it's not disingenuous. It's completely genuine. And then for the first kind of few months you're there, you're kind of still in British mode and you're quite standoffish. But then over time, you start kind of, it's like any sort of culture, you start kind of growing into it. And then by the end of it, you're like, hey, how's your day going? And it's like so infectious. And when we came back over here and we like wanted to start our own business and do something in food, that was kind of one of the things that we really took from, because we loved Canada. Like we were going to move back over there before we set up. In fact, the day we got our permanent residency, so we applied for permanent residency to go back over, was the day that we got the contract the keys for Box Park for first time. So it was, but yeah, that hospitality part of it is, we kind of felt that, I think it's a little bit better now, but there's still pockets of where it's just very much like transactional. It's like, oh yeah, what can I get you? Okay, cool. And that's it, that's all the server does. Whereas you have that real kind of connection with someone and actually engage and have a conversation. That's kind of what we want to bring into Black Bear.
Because when I was in Costa Rica and Colombia, because I always think, I listen to a lot of American media, as the Americans sort of downplay Canadians as sort of the polite little cousin, you know, like, well, I don't know, you know, they say their weird words like hello, you know what I mean? And when I was traveling, every Canadian person we met was one, that super warm, affable, but so much fun to go out with. Like we've got a group. They're
still quite dry.
They've got a very dry sense of humour. We met this couple called Kenzie and Logan, who I just, when I was drunk, kept calling them Lorcan and Kelsey. I was like, Lorcan, Kelsey, come here, mate. But yeah, there was when we were actually trying to meet up with them, like we're still on like a WhatsApp group. You know, we become really good friends. Yeah. And when I read that, the Canadian hospitality, it's that kind of, that openness and
just chill vibes.
That's the word.
Warm, and that's what hospitality is. It's like warmth, right?
Yeah.
It's looking after people.
So then so you talked about that feeling that Canada gave you as a place. It gave you that feeling of warmth and connection, so much so that you're looking to come back or go back.
Yeah.
How do you get that feeling, you felt in Canada? How do you get it to transpire when people are munching into a Black Bear burger?
So it's a little bit more difficult in like the QSR side of business, where it's like just someone taking an order like over a till.
So that's like Canary Wharf.
Yeah. So it's like a food hall.
Yeah.
But you can still kind of have touch points there. You only have like a real short interaction with someone, but even that, if you don't think about it, can become transactional. So it can be like, oh yeah, what can I get you? Okay, Black Bear, cool. Here's your buzzer. Like, boring as hell. But most people are actually expecting that. And then if you ask them a question, like especially in Canary Wharf, it's a lot of people in suit. I mean, I used to work in Canary Wharf as well, so it's like, but they come up and you're like, hey, how's your day going? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's all right, thanks. Yeah. What can I get you? Any recommendations? And you like almost catch them off guard a little bit. And like, oh yeah, no, I'll have if it's your mate. It's like no, the same thing.
They'll swallow mine off, mate. They'll be like Raz's walking through the doors, mate. Fucking lock up your burgers.
Yeah.
Guys, get ready.
But it's just even that, like a couple touch points of like saying just how's your day going, or what can I get you, or when you hand the food over. It's a little bit difficult there because it's such a short time frame that you chat with people. But in the restaurants we can really get that over because it's I think we've got like really good food, but we back it up by just really personal hospitality. And it's very chilled. It's like not formal chill, and it comes across like the way we kind of measure it is because obviously it can't be in every site now, but in our two restaurants, like our Google reviews are about 4.8 or 4.7. They come around that, and that's for us like a real benchmark of how good the whole kind of hospitality of those sites is, because it's great food, but has to be backed up by great service as well.
How do you get the there's this thing called like the principal agent problem, which is like the principal's like you like this is our burger joint. When you're at Box Park, it's easy because you're literally making the burgers and can have that hospitality. But as you get bigger and bigger and bigger, there's more people that are further away from you, and basically the problem is it's like not saying they don't care, but it's not their business. They're not going to care as much, which is just, it's a fact of life, right?
Yeah.
How do you get people to really buy into that your Black Burger way of being, and to kind of spread this sort of chill, fun vibes through businesses? How do you do that?
It's hard. We kind of have struggled with. Well, I haven't struggled with it. It's, at the beginning, we were like, how can we continue to replicate this? But I think the main thing is just the right people. So, like in our two restaurants now, we've got Marlon in Brixton. He's our GM there. and he's been with us since day one there, started as a server and kind of worked his way up. And he is just Black Bear Brixton. He knows everybody there, and because he started with us from the beginning, he just picks up that culture, right? And then here, you get the right person first of all, which is someone that like is caring and hospitable, and then you have to have that kind of FaceTime and touch time with your senior management, and then that kind of filters down, like the way we interact and speak with them. That's how they then speak with their teams. It kind of just trickles down. I think that's obviously you have like handbooks and like training days and stuff like that, but I think how you treat your managers filters down to how they treat their team and how they treat customers.
Yeah, the warmth can kind of osmosisly spread.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about like hip hop actually. So when I was in here, it seemed like there's a recurring theme. There's always hip hop in.
It's kind of like old school hip hop.
Old school. Yeah. How does hip hop make the burger experience better? Like in your opinion?
I think that in the restaurants, it's the way I kind of always think about it is lots of different layers of like elements that make the experience. So the right lighting, the right music, the right furniture, the right crockery and plates, all these kind of things. They're like the little 1-2% that kind of add up to make a really good experience. And when we first opened Brixton, we actually got a company, I can't remember what they're called, which is like a box which it gets automatically updated with music like each month with like different playlists that you tell them the type of music that you want. But it never really kind of hit the spot. It was always just like it would have like a random Christmas tune and then
Taylor Swift
and then like Dead Prez and like it's like real all over the shop. So we actually, one of my mates who was working for us at the time, I had like a little because I think a hip hop playlist, it just fits into everything else that's in the restaurant. And then one of my mate who's working for us at the same time just built like this huge playlist, and then we've just been adding to that, and so it's like our own little. We have like a few different playlists throughout the day.
It adds a lot of texture to it because it was even like so obviously when I got here this afternoon, like it was full pumping on, and it just adds a kind of a beat to thing, quite literally a bop thing, pop, hip hop. Yeah.
My worst nightmare, but like my pet peeve is when you go to a restaurant and there's no music, or it's like turned down really low, and it's like dull, like tinny silence. I hate it. Whereas if you've got like real nice banging music, it's just you instantly walk in and you're kind of like, we're like a bit of a vibe.
That old school hip hop is. I mean, I'm not like an old school hip hop aficionado by any stretch of the imagination, but like the obvious ones, Wu-Tang Clan, like I fucking love them. Did that Mystery of the Chess Box song? Yeah, like that is fucking banging.
It just works. It's like I guess every place has a different vibe, and that kind of old school hip hoppy music. Well, like it's on a lot of our socials as well. When we do reels, it's more old school hip hoppy music on there, which actually lends itself quite nicely.
How did you get? Did you always like that kind of music?
Yeah, I mean, I like a bit of everything to be honest, but I'm by no means an aficionado of like old school hip hop. But it just we went at the beginning. We would like experimenting with like different because we had a little bit of time where we were doing like a bit of American-y bluesy type stuff in there. But the old school hip hop just set the right tone in the restaurant. We're like, okay, this works. Let's run with it.
Yeah, it's weird how that's that extra layer or element that adds so much texture.
There is the only issue is sometimes the playlists aren't always like PG rated.
Right. So you got a little half-term mum with little Matilda,
and it's
and
like
fucking Wu-Tang Clan.
You're like serving.
That's hilarious. Skip. And then because I think there's one of the things I find fascinating about hip hop is the difference in sound between East Coast and West Coast.
Yeah.
So like like East Coast is like Wu-Tang Clan, it's like hard hitting, it's like a Nas. But then West Coast is like Snoop Dogg, very chill, Tupac.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference in.
We have a pretty mix of it though, to be fair.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah.
Because we've got a couple of different playlists, and like it's not exclusively like old school hip hop, but it's like a bit of a bits and bobs in there.
Yeah.
We do kind of just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
It goes.
Because but there is in the States there is that difference, and I'd love to. This is kind of a weird way to explore this, but I know there's like a massive difference between East Coast and West Coast burgers. So you've got East Coast is Shake Shack, West Coast is In and Out.
Yeah.
What would you say are like? We can. I don't know where I'm going with this, but like, what would you say are some of the differences? I want to get into burgers because I just love burgers, and then we're going to get into Black Bear, of course. But what would you say are some of the differences between East Coast and West Coast? And this could be like in Canada as well. Like,
I'll be totally honest. Like with America, we don't really draw much inspiration from that kind of like East Coast or West Coast style burger, really. Like I think, like I've been to the States a couple of times, and maybe I'm doing disservice to burgers over there, but it's quite samey. It's like very just American style, plain cheeseburger, smash burger vibes. And I think over here we've actually got much better burger scene. Because I think over here it's more about provenance of the beef rather than the type of the burger. I mean, smash burgers are having a bit of a rally at the moment, but yeah, I'm not really that East Coast West Coast vibe. I'm like, you guys do.
What is the actual difference though, or are they just the same burgers?
I don't really know, to be honest. There's loads of different like types. Like you have like the Oklahoma smash type.
Yeah.
But it's.
I think that's a YouTube channel, the Burger Connoisseur bloke. You see?
Yeah.
He looks like a bit of a freak.
There's
he goes into like the burgers, and I'm like.
Yeah, that's George Mott's. That guy. Yeah.
Yes.
So he's opened a place in New York now, which is like an old school diner, and he does like the Oklahoma smash one. So it's like potato roll, really super like paper thin onions. We've actually done a version of it for a special here once, and then they're like steamed, and I think it's a Martin's potato roll bun on the top, and they're like, there's like those sorts of burgers, like they're awesome, but they're not what we want to do. If that makes sense.
And one of the things I find interesting is like originality. I think is like nothing is ever truly original. What you're basically doing is David Bowie's got a quote, which is the only art I'll ever study is the art I can steal from.
Yeah.
And you think of David Bowie, the most original fucker around, right?
Yeah.
And I think what originality is, and from everyone I've spoken to, is like you go out, you kind of think externally, where's the inspiration, where's the curiosity, but then you internally bring it together 100%. And you create your own Black Bear.
Yeah.
Where did you get your? If it wasn't from America, where did you get your kind of palette of different ideas? And then how did you create your own kind of Black Bear painting?
So kind of a long story, I guess. So when we first were thinking about doing it, we were actually thinking about doing, what's it called? Like a brunch thing. When we were like brainstorming, we were like, we want to go into food. We want to set up our own business.
Why food? Just before we go into
it? We were both. So it's me and my wife Liz who set up the business together. She's kind of stepped out a little bit now because we're popping kids out there front and centre.
How many kids you got?
2, 3.5. 2-year-old, and we got another one in about 5 weeks coming along. So
amazing, yeah.
Just like,
yeah.
She's kind of been out for a little while. But when we wanted to do something in food because we both were, I hate the word, but like foodies. We were absolutely loved eating out, loved like trying different food, loved cooking at home. And I've kind of always worked in and out of hospitality from when I was younger. And we were like, let's do something. We'll start our own business. And we were looking at. What's it called? Doing like a brunch thing because there was what's it called? Ben's Canteen, Camden, Clapham.
Yeah. My mate, my very good friend James is good mates with him.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So we used to go there like we used to when we first moved down and lived in Battersea.
Yeah.
And we used to go there like every weekend, and it was queues out the door like absolutely round. They used to do this like pulled pork eggs Benny, and I still make it every now and then at home. Like, it's banging. And we were like, oh, this place is so busy, and like we both love eating brunch everywhere. We're like, let's maybe do a brunch place. And then we kind of thought about it, and we're like, well, how are we going to do that? Because we started off in street food. We can't really do street food brunch. It's not really a thing. So our other thing that we absolutely love eating was burgers. So we then went and kind of explored London and basically ate everywhere. So like big chains, small independents, ate around everything, and we were like...
What was one of like the weirdest sort of places you went to?
We went to all the classics, so like Your Honest, Patty's, Bleak was around at that point. Who else? Like Byron were there, like Meat Liquor, kind of the whole burger spectrum. But went to every place, and we were like, what's this kind of missing, and how could we do something a bit differently? So then the thing that we always wanted to do, because my parents are beef farmers, so we wanted to kind of link back to like have beef as kind of the central part of the burger, like to focus kind of on the quality of that side of things. So we spent about 6 months doing burger parties. We did them every weekend. Our mates fucking loved us. So we had our little flat, and every weekend it was like 4 floors. So like
This is in Battersea.
This actually we had moved. This was in Limehouse.
Yeah.
Little balcony, had a little gas griddle out there. I don't think you're supposed to have out there. We would every week go to the butcher, get different cuts, grind them up, and then play around with different condiments, different buns, and that sort of stuff. Until we found a burger that really worked for us, and that was our black bear, which pretty much hasn't changed since that first kind of testing.
How did you know that was a burger that worked for you?
I think the thing whenever I do like training sessions with the guys, whenever I talk about it, I think it's about balance. So I think our black bear burger is like a perfectly balanced burger. So what's in it is got a really soft, heavily seeded sesame seed bun. That seed actually adds a little bit of extra flavour into it as well. The beef, dry aged, grass fed, British beef.
Fucking celebrate.
I know, we need to order it. Some lightly pickled white onion goes on top of it under the cheese, because that kind of elevates.
Why under the cheese? Is that change? Because in terms of Rory talks about psychophysics,
Yeah.
which is it's genuinely true. Like the way if chocolate is circle shaped, it tastes different to if it's square shaped.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Is there does the onions taste better under the cheese?
So the reason we do it, so basically we cook the burger, so it's just meat and fat essentially.
Yeah.
Salt and pepper. Flip it over, and we flip it over. We put these onions, which are very lightly pickled, we put it onto the side of the burger that's been cooked. And then that heat from that kind of just gently warms through those lightly pickled onions.
Oh, yes.
And then it goes under the cheese because we want the heat from the burger to just kind of warm them through, because that actually changes like slightly the flavour of the onions. And if you try a burger without those little bits of onion and with them in, it's completely different. It tastes less beefier, which sounds strange.
Yeah.
That slightly pickled onion elevates the taste of the beef. So that onion jam on top, which is this kind of sweet, sticky, acidic like onions, and then smoked bacon. And the bacon we get super thinly cut, and it's almost, we view it as like a seasoning. So it's like salty and smoky and stuff.
mate. I'm gonna stop fucking eating you in a second, mate. I'm turning into a black bear myself.
And then a garlic mayo to finish with like that kind of creamy onion. But all those aspects of that burger just pair so well together, and then when you eat it, they just all the flavours work.
Yeah, it's that whole. Have you read that book, that Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat book?
Yeah, I've not read it, but yeah.
So the little pickled onions add that little acidic kind of mellowing out like thing.
You got the richness from the kind of the creamy mayo.
Oh, so good. And then so you have this burger, you give it to your friends. What do they say?
So they're all, I mean, every weekend they're like, yeah, it's fucking great, cook some more. But like, we just went through loads of iterations.
Yeah, but actually, that's you've touched on a really interesting point, because one thing a lot of guests have said to me is when you're trying in that phase of, ideating a business, is be careful telling your family and friends, because they'll just tell you it's great because they don't want to be kind to you. Yeah. So how did you kind of sift through that? Yes, mate, it's banging. I want more beers and burgers.
To be fair, Liz is probably the biggest critic on anything. Like, so I'm the cook essentially. I do all like the food. I still do it now. And Liz is the eater. So it's just, but even now, like when I try new dishes, I'll run it through her, because she's just a no nonsense. She'll be like, yeah, that's good. That's fucking shit. Or, I don't like this bit. Or this is too sweet. Or
yeah.
So she kind of says it how it is, but you kind of, I don't know, I guess you've got to trust your gut as well. Even now when we're doing menu development, you have, once you know, you go through so many things that generally it's like lots of iterations, so you kind of get an idea, you test it, you're like, oh, that's quite good, but then you just keep tweaking it. But I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know.
Yeah, no. So we were talking about like how you came on the Black Bear Burger, and that was like you know, you'd been at the brunch, thinking about brunch, Ben's Canteen.
It's a really difficult thing to actually. It sounds really big-headed actually, but like to make a new burger that is original, really good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like they've been around for I don't know the history, how many hundreds of years, but I look at all the burger restaurants, all the pubs that do burgers. There's probably every iteration of the burger you would think has kind of been gone through, and it's very easy for someone at home to make a burger, or in a chef in a general pub to make a burger. But to make a burger really good, it's actually really difficult. I think like you have to have every element of it has to kind of come together all at the same time, and have that balance in there, because that's the difference between something that's like okay or decent to being like really fucking good.
Yeah, I think there's an A.A. Gill quote which is football is the language of the world, but I think burgers are the food language of the world.
Yeah,
like no matter where you go, if you get a banging burger, or like you don't know what to order.
Yeah,
burgers the safe.
That's pretty much. That was when we went on from talking about doing a brunch place, doing burgers was like, well, everyone fucking has a burger, so if we can do it and it's as good as 5% of the rest of London, then we'll be alright.
Yeah. Take me to your first street food market. Like, so I once tried to sell these peanut butter cups. It's a fucking thing. Yeah, no worries. And it was like character assassination. I was just, you know, sat there with these peanut butter cups and didn't sell them.
Yeah.
At this.
Where was it?
It was in Cobham, mate, in this food market. And basically, I got my first week. Loads of my family came down. And they basically bought them, but I was like, yes, mate, boys minted it. And then the next week I went to another one, and I had like my mum's washing basket things, and so all the stock was in there. And I packed up my car, and I was just driving to go meet my mates. And I was like so fucked up, I hadn't sold a thing. Like the Izetta hadn't been touched at all. Do you know what I mean? So I basically was driving and put my hand into the thing. And just started stuffing my face.
Like Alan Partridge.
Yeah. Getting high on my own supply. I was like, well, no one else is going to eat it. I might as well eat it. So I know that feeling of, and actually the graft of street food is way people don't tell you about that. So, what was the feeling in your tummy when your first one? Like describe that day and where was it?
So our actual first one was at Camden Town Brewery. That was the first ever one. Like they used to do the one in Kentish Town.
Yeah.
They used to do like a little pop-up on like a Friday or Saturday, I think. And we did it there, and it's a similar sort of thing. Like our family kind of came down and just
told you it was banging.
That's great. And we sold hardly anything, but it was like, okay, that's a good like test run.
But what does the feeling? So you haven't sold much.
It's
describe
exciting.
that.
The first bit is exciting because the way we did it was we still had our normal jobs in quote marks. So like Liz was a nurse, I was working in like the oil industry, and it was like a passion project that could lead to somewhere else. It was like, let's go dip our toes in and see if it works, see if we like working with each other, see if people like our food, see if we like doing it. So we did that like that first. We did a couple of those. We did down what's it called? Brick Lane. So there's like market down there. So we did one there as well, and like we prepped like 200 burgers because it's so busy down there at the weekend. Yeah. This pitch.
Game set match, mate.
We're gonna sell out. Like literally sold like 20. And we're like, what the heck? What's going on?
How do you keep going in that moment?
Because we've done so much testing, I guess, in the food.
Yeah.
And it's. I think you're naive at that point as well. You're just like, yeah, fuck it, let's just do it. And it's still fun. It's like demoralising, but it's if you only sell 20 burgers in that first little bit. I think if we constantly kept doing that, then we probably would have canned it in. But it didn't really matter. Like it was a side project, I guess. And then I guess our first break was when to Broadway Market. We went out because we used to go there most weekends. We're like, we're going to do this Broadway Market, and it was a really hustling market, and quite a few of the brands started. I don't know if Crosstown actually started there. They're still there now, I think.
They started in Brick Lane, and then they went there. Yeah. But they still have a stand, not stand, a stall.
Butchie's, I think it was one of their first places where they started because they were trading when we were there. And we went up there. We found the market manager, and we were like, "Oh, we've got this new burger. We'd love to try it." And he shut us down, and he was like, "No, mate, I've got like 200 people on the waiting list. You want to get in?" And we're like, "Oh, okay." And then went back basically like every week, and we were like, "Hey, can you just like try the burger?" And got his email somehow, and then we're just every week we're just emailing him saying, "Is there any spots this week? Any spots for next week? Can we bring you up a burger?" And then he emails back saying, basically, "Can you stop fucking emailing me? Because I'm not going to give you a space this market." And then so we kind of stopped for a little bit, and then we just every now and then we'd just be like, just touch him back in. And then one day out of the blue, he emailed us on like a Wednesday and was like, "There's a spot this Saturday. You can come in, we're in the schoolyard market. If you want it, it's yours. Let me know by like end of today." And we're like, "Yep, sweet, we'll do it." So then we just put everything together. Like we had a gazebo from Amazon, which was not very sturdy. So like the second day we were trading, my brother came down because there was wind, and the gazebo like started bending in half. And my brother and his mate were stood on the corners for like the whole day, just holding this gazebo up while we were trading. And it just kind of snowballed from there. We got in there, and then that was like a little side market to Broadway Market. Traded there for a bit, and then they moved us over into the main market, and we did that for a good year and a bit.
Because that was it, you're still working your full-time job?
Yeah.
And so you'd wake up, what time? Because I think people underestimate how much Graft and street food.
Yeah, so we had a little routine. So Liz was working shifts, so she would work like 3 or 4 days a week, so they'd be long days. Then on her days off, she would do some of the preps, like making Indian jam. So when we started, I had 2 burgers on the menu. It was the black bear, and then the brisket, which was
my baby.
It was a few weeks after we opened. That was our second one on. And we did like a breakfast one as well because they open at 10, 11. And so Liz would kind of do a bit of the prep on like the Thursday on her day off, and then on Friday I would cycle to the butcher's, which was like Mile End, at lunchtime. Get a load of the meat. He would grind it for us. When we first started, we grind it ourselves. Did that for 1 week and stopped it. He would grind it for us, take it back, cycle back to my house, put it in the fridge, cycle back to work. After work, go home, and then we would. It was when like Game of Thrones was on TV. So every weekend, every Friday, Liz would measure out the balls. I'd press them into patties, we'd stack it all up, get everything ready, and then the next Saturday we would go to the market.
How did you deal with so you've been cooking for your mates and like, I don't know, 10, 20 people. How did you deal with the intensity and the pressure when you start getting rammed? Like because I think that the product has to be banging every single time for people to come back. Like how suddenly when you're saying 20 burgers, it's 20 burgers every day. When it's, Ramo and people are like, "Where's my fucking burger?" How did you navigate that?
I think we literally learned everything on the job, and we still have throughout the whole of Black Bear. So we're like 6 sites now, 5+1.
5+1.
Well, we've got the 20-foot fried chicken, which we started.
I want to talk about that.
Last year. And all along the way, we've just learned as we've gone. And actually, if I could do it all again, I would have gone and worked in like 5 or 6 restaurants for like 2 months at a time, and like learn how you do stock control, how you do like HACCP, like all like the basic stuff, or like how you even like organise your kitchen, and all like sounds stupid, but because we'd never worked in like a commercial kitchen, when we finally got to Box Park, that was like we were learning everything off the cuff. But in the markets, it was pretty straightforward because only 2 burgers, me and Liz in there, and you just cooking as it's going, and you soon kind of get into rhythm of it, and that's where you can learn all your techniques of how you actually cook your burger your way, because every place has a different way they cook their burgers as well.
So how did you learn? How did the your way from the first market to like the
It hasn't changed much.
100th market? Like how did you develop your unique?
I guess, well, one, actually, this is one of the best things about doing the markets, because every week we get to eat a burger. That's why we're like, couldn't wait till Saturday. I can't wait till the black belt.
Yeah.
But you just, it's just an iterative process. You obviously we had like the 6 months before where we were designing the burgers and stuff, but you're just constantly trying to improve it just that little bit, like 1 or 2% here and there. But it was fun. I really enjoyed it. There were dark days for sure. There was
We're going to get, well, maybe let's go into that now then. I went obviously to the bog earlier, like was just hanging around a bit. Yeah. But I love the picture. We're in your Exmouth market site now. The toilet is a woods or forest.
Yeah.
And then there's a bear taking a shit. What's the phrase? Birds, not birds, bears.
The bears shit in the woods.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is like, ooh.
Yeah.
So, and I thought, oh my god, this could be an interesting question. So, because I think everyone, you said dark days. I think actually a lot of times when you're on your founder's journey, you can feel like you're shitting yourself in the middle of this dark grey, mysterious woods. And you can't see the wood from the trees. You're like, where the fuck am I going? What was that moment when you felt like a bear shitting yourself in the woods? Sorry, because I was like, the toilets are quite gothic. Do you know what I mean? I was like, am I gonna get eaten by a fucking Dracula in a second?
It's really dim in there.
Yeah.
In the,
it's like that. Oh, music.
In the night, we've got because there's a speaker in there as well. And the music's really loud in there. So you go in there, it's like dark and like
some seedy shit's going on in there.
But actually, on the toilet, I'll come back to your point. On that toilet, this was the Liz thing actually. We designed the toilet in that way, so it's like a feature.
Well, that's what I thought, yeah.
Because like when you go into a restaurant and it's got really shitty loos, it's like if you don't care about your toilet, it's a bit of a symbolic representation of what you care about the rest of your restaurant and the rest of your food.
How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
That's something someone taught me. It's like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And as I say, it's work. Because I'm talking about it on the podcast.
It's
like not that I wasn't hanging around or anything doing naughty, but it's a talking point, and it's also hilarious. It's like, God, there's a bed. Shit in the woods. It's like brilliant. Yeah. So what were the darkest days in the woods of the journey?
Definitely in the street food days.
And how long was that period?
About a year and a half or so.
Yeah.
Just doing it every weekend, and obviously, when you start, it's excitement. So it's like this new thing. And to be fair, like all of our mates used to come down every weekend anyway, because Broadway Market, there's a load of pubs there as well. And we would generally we'd try and do it so that we'd sell out at about like 4:30, and then take all our cash and go to the pub. Basically, so it was quite fun.
Good cash flow.
Drinks on me. But there was like you go for summer's great, and then you get to the winter. Loads of traders kind of pack up and go home. We were like, we'll stay because we don't want to lose our spot, and people come down regularly, so we just want to kind of keep that consistency. And like we would just get there at like the coldest morning, like freeze and get set up, and then sell like 30 burgers and have a load of leftover stock. And you're like, why the fuck are we still doing this? Like, what's the point? And we've had like conversations about that, because it was just me and Liz. We were like, do we keep doing this, or like, what's the bigger picture? But our aim was always to open a restaurant, and we knew that if we tried to do that off the bat, one, we had no money, two, we didn't really have that much experience, so we knew we would probably fail if we did it. So we were like, how can we stepping stone it? How can we stepping stone our way into a restaurant?
I am absolutely over the bloody moon that Big Fish, yes, Big Fish, the big dons of Challenger Food and Drink brand,
design. I mean, Perry is an absolute legend. He's designed every challenger brand in your cupboard. Charlie Bigham's, Goo, Tyrrell's, Rana, Clipper Tea, the list is endless. And Big Fish are looking to speak to the next wave of challenger food and drink brands who are a force for good. They're looking to invest in brands, and we've got this sick thing coming next year that you do not want to miss out on. If you want to speak to Big Fish, if you want to go to the Fish Bowl, drop me a DM and I can make it happen. North Star, get listed, say listed, and grow. Do you actually know your shopper? If you don't know your shopper, you're literally pissing and spunking money up the wall. Knowing your shopper is the secret weapon to unlock more grocery listings and more stores. But not knowing your shopper is literally like driving in the dark, hungover, without a sat-nav, in a thunderstorm, in February with 5 miles of petrol in the tank. But knowing your shopper is like having a sat-nav. A full tank of petrol is a glorious sunny day. You're listening to the Sugar Babes and you've got a fresh, hot, pumpkin spice latte by your side. North Star Illuminator is the shopper map to the promised land of growth and success. It does 3 wonderful things for your brand. 1, make your marketing budget sweat. When you've got lucid, crystal clarity on exactly where each precious penny is going, you know how to drive loyalty with existing customers or even bring new shoppers into your brand. Numero 2, what's actually driving performance? Do you actually know why your sales are going up and down? You need to know, like, are you bringing new shoppers into the category? Is that driving growth? Are loyal customers buying more of your brand? Are shoppers switching in and out of your brand versus other brands? I mean, Perfect Head's a glorious example. They are bringing new shoppers into sports and energy. They are so incremental versus, say, chocolate bars, where people just switch in and out of brands all the time. The more you know this, the more oomph you've got with your buyer when you go to do a marketing plan, a joint business plan with retailers. The buyers want to know how incremental you are to the category. That is your passport to success. North Star is your passport. And what you can do is you can literally see it by channel, by retailer, get so specific. If you're looking to go to the next level, honestly, get in touch with North Star and go to the promised land. MKJ Ignite are a team of experienced recruiters who specialize in the challenger brand space. They recruit for over 50 brands ranging from pre-revenue startups right through to some award-winning brands such as Real Superfoods and Purdy and Fig. They recruit across all levels and all functions, so whether you're looking for a new salesperson, a new marketing whiz, or an ops guru, MKJ Ignite have got you covered. They're bloody good at what they do, trust me. So if you're looking to hire or you're looking for a new role, get in touch with MKJ Ignite. They won't let you down. Are you looking to turbocharge your brand, take it to another level, save money, save energy, save stress, save time? Well, I've got the perfect thing for you. I am delighted to announce that HC Brands, formerly HC Consulting, my boy Harry Clark, has just launched a commercial growth accelerator program designed specifically for challenger food and drink brands. You can upskill your commercial team. They've got so many modules, you can handpick them, we can do the full shebang. You're gonna save hours of research, you're gonna get the tools to turbocharge your growth, get better clarity on your brand's objectives and directions. And look, Harry's worked with some amazing brands, Holy Moly, Islands, Savile, and Rooted Drinks. He's really helped me with a strategy for Hungary. Yeah, if you're looking to turbocharge your brand, link in the show notes, and you're gonna be able to do that easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
So when you do have those shit days, it's you have to look at the bigger picture and be like, all right, it's shit this week, but we're getting our name out there. We're making our way on this journey of trying to get into a restaurant. So,
and how did you? What did you? Like, how did you keep that? Because I get it. I do beat me with the cups. It was like fuck. I fucked it off after 2 goes. I was like, see you later, mate. I'm not doing that shit. How did you? Like, how did you tap into the bigger vision to pull you through pull you out of the woods?
Yeah, I don't know really. I think we're both fairly resilient people, but you just, when you've got kind of like a vision, you're like, we'll one day like open a restaurant. It's, in those early days, it's just like, you're just gunning for it. You're just like, it's exciting. You might have one shit week, but next week you come back and you sell out early and you're like, we're back, baby. And it's like, it's ups and downs. And as long as you can kind of ride the downs to get back to the ups, it's
like staying at even kilter, sort of check.
Yeah.
It's like having an even kilter throughout. Do you know what I mean? Without it, like almost not taking the, not getting too carried away with the winds, but not getting too bogged down with the slow weeks.
I think we were probably quite lucky that we had kind of quite regular progressions, if that makes sense. So after doing the Broadway Market for a while, we then started kind of when Street Feast was like really still like massively popular and it was open.
Street Feast,
yeah.
Where was that?
It was like Shoreditch, which Dinorama.
Was that Dinorama?
Yeah.
Is that gone now, isn't it?
It's gone, yeah. So
what happened with that? Just...
I think mainly COVID. So JD, who ran it, he was great actually throughout COVID in terms of being a voice for hospitality. And I feel for him because his all of Street Feast basically just died through COVID.
Fuck.
So yeah, it's a massive casualty of that. But back in the day, those places they were like the originators of food halls, but more like street food based food halls. And we kind of got approached by them. They came to try the food, and then they had one in Canada Water, Hawker House. So we kind of did some residencies with them. So it kind of every maybe 6 months there was a new another rung up the ladder. So there was always a bit of progression, going from like proper street food to then street food that's indoors. So we actually had a permanent kitchen and stuff like that. And then from there we then did a couple of things with Curb on events, and then we managed to get into Box Park, and then that was a 7-day. That's when we quit our jobs and we were like, right, let's fucking go for it.
Talk me, because I've interviewed Roger Wade on the podcast actually, one of the early days. It was quite funny because he said I'm not actually a foodie.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, he was retail. He was. That's how he set it up.
Yeah, he was a genius of why don't we just turn the shipping containers into the fucking thing?
Yeah.
So clever. But yeah, so talk because we talked about this kind of crossroads moment whereby you've got the green light to go to Canada, that you get the keys to Box Park.
Yeah, literally the same day.
It's literally the same day. Talk me through the decision process you and Liz are going through, the ums and the ahhing of that. Because I think everyone gets the sliding doors moment. It's like, do you go left? Do you go right?
Yeah. Well, we were applying for residency for it took a couple of years, I think, in the end to actually get that residency through. And in that time, we had started doing the street food, and that had kind of been going on in the background. And when we'd obviously signed the lease, and so it was a no-brainer. We were like, right, well, you actually have 5 years on your permanent residency.
Yeah. And
you have to be there for 2, I think, or 3 out of 5. So we're like, let's just go with Black Bear, see where it takes us. If it cans in the first year, we'll fuck up to Canada, it's fine. So, but yeah, it was very much. I'm always the one that's a little bit more cautious. Liz was she was fucking quit your job already. I was like, but what if we don't get it? And then when we actually finally got the contract, she'd already quit her job. She was like, I'm fucking sacking it in. I'll go and look for a site and stuff. She actually got us into Box Park as well.
How did she get you into Box? Because I read somewhere you guys blagged your way in.
Yeah,
Talk me about that.
I think it was Burger Bear who
Burger
Bear Tom, who used to have burger restaurants in London. And I think he got it initially before us. And because we went through a process where they were coming to try our food at the Broadway Market, because we applied to go in there because they wanted a burger trader.
Also, I think people don't understand is how hard it is to get into these street food places.
Oh yeah, Box Park, they basically said no because we didn't have any experience. We were too small. We were just 2 days a week. And to be honest, I'd probably say the same thing because we didn't know anything. But we kind of blagged. We were like, yeah, we do. And they gave it to this other company.
But
Burger. I'm pretty sure it's. But I know it's quite. Burger Bear Tom.
Fucking hell,
too many fucking bears.
Yeah.
And they were in, and we were kind of going into Shoreditch all the time anyway, and going to Box Park as customers. There was still stickers on the door, burger traders wanted. Obviously, nothing was going on there. So we kept, the same as we did in Broadway Market, kept messaging the letting agent or messaging Gersh, her name was, from Box Park, saying, come on, nothing's happening. We can go, give us the lease, we'll do it. And then obviously something must have happened with those other guys. Same thing, they messaged us saying, we can send you over the contract. if you can like open within the next like 3-4 weeks. And we were like, yep, sweet. So that day, got the contract, signed it. Went and spoke to my boss and was like, I'm quitting.
See you later.
Give him a month's notice. And they were like, what?
Like, do burgers. That's amazing. Yeah. What story?
I remember my boss she's like head of like an oil trading desk. And
so you got into like this finance?
Yeah, I started in like finance and like for Shell, like, in the trading side. And then I went into kind of like the analysis, like market analysis.
So it's a very good job.
Yeah, and then I was like, I kind of progressed, and then went over to Chevron and was working on the trading desk as like an analyst there. And then I wanted to kind of go into trading. That was kind of my
because I get asked this by a lot of people who listen to the pod who are like, I love food. I want to get into food. I'm in a cushy kind of corporate job, pays the bills, go on next holidays. How taking that leap seems like a huge, like, how the hell do I do this? Is there anything you could say to people who are on the precipice of jumping in on their dream?
Yeah, I mean? Well, I think the way we did it was like testing the water.
Right? Mate.
Yeah, okay. We were like, we kept our jobs and just did it on the side. So did it the weekends at street food market. I think anybody that's looking to test out an idea of opening a restaurant, doing street food first I would always recommend that, because you get instant feedback from people. So like if someone doesn't like your burger, or if you're starting something else up, you can see it because they take it away and they'll bite it. If they go, fucking, this is a piece of shit, then you're like, all right, something's wrong.
Street food's a bit like the comedy of I was listening to a podcast about comedy, as in like comedy, what's so valuable about comedy versus like comedian writes joke, puts it up on stage, there's 100 people in the room or 50 people in the room. They either laugh or they don't. With street food, they either eat it or they don't. Whereas a restaurant's probably a bit more like a film where you can hide behind the music, hide behind the ambience, all that shit. Totally, do you know what I mean? I think that's really valuable. So it's like, I didn't think of that. It's almost like kind of like comedy.
It is, it's a really good way to describe it. Like you're putting yourself on a stage to be judged, and you're seeing that being critiqued straight away.
Did you have anyone throw anything away?
No, I don't know. I remember. No, just the fucking gazebo was flying away. That's the only fucking thing. But no, like we actually had loads of like supply issues when we first started, like our bakery, because they would be like 1 week, because we're only ordering once a week and a small volume. They would literally leave them like outside our front door, and like they'd deliver them at like 4 a.m. and people would come back from a night out, come into like, because it's in like an apartment thing, see like bread on the floor and like nick buns out of it. So it was so mad. But like because we only order once a week, they'd sometimes become massive, then really small, then big. So we had loads of issues like that. But
talk to me about the bun, because you double seeded. Both.
We do it's kind of it's rolled in sesame seeds, so like before it's proofed.
But not just the top, the bottom as well.
Some of the bottom is, so it's just a heavy roll.
Because that's my mate Raz is like, he speaks for me, is that bruv, double sesame, bruv. Sesame persuasion.
It's because you kind of you roll it. So basically, they kind of prove them once, and then there's literally a big tub of sesame seeds. And they get kind of basically rolled in there. And when you do that, it gets all around the whole bun. So it's on the bottom bun and the top bun as well. It kind of varies a little bit, but yeah.
And then, so we'll get back. We need to talk about the beef brisket one, because it's just otherworldly good, mate. But so you're in Box Park. You've blagged your way in there. What are the steps you take to then opening your first restaurant? Because that's almost the next.
That was the big. So it was basically another year of us, me and Liz, kind of literally 7 days a week in Box Park, just finding our feet. And it used to be super busy in Box Park, like lunch trade, evening trade.
Was it not as busy there anymore?
It's changed a little bit. Lunch trade isn't as much there. I think kind of work from home has changed a little bit.
Of course.
And then the evenings a little bit more destinational, where you don't have as much churn anymore. But it's busy, but not what it used to be. First year it was just us kind of just grinding in there, and like literally like scratching down the walls because we were there like too long. But we were just, like I said before, just learning the ropes.
How do you deal with the mental
because resilience is a word that's come up, and persistence is two things I would, say, most people don't email the Broadway Market bloke 10 times, 100 times. How do you deal with because you are literally in a container, and I think a lot of founders feel like their brand is a container, let me out, do you know what I mean? And it's relentless, but it's the price of like growing your dream. Like, how did you deal with literally being in a container 7 days a week?
I think it was pretty much. Probably give the credit to Liz actually, because the two of us, we kind of communicate really well and kind of bounce off each other. Two different personalities. I'm much more like kind of reserved and introvert. She's quite extrovert, and like she can tell when I'm like exploding, and she's like, "Get the fuck out of here! Go and get a cocktail somewhere." Like, just piss off.
What does you exploding look like? Because you come across
just I probably like shutting down more, just just quiet and just like glazed over. Just like, you're gonna fucking explode, get out. But yeah, I don't know really. I think both of our family, like our parents, have ran their own businesses and stuff like that, and like my parents being farmers and stuff, I think you pick up a lot from how you're brought up, and they're just constantly like grinding basically.
What your parents did? They raised beef?
Yeah, so it was used to be dairy, then went to beef ages ago after foot and mouth, and then they've kind of just kept diversifying. So they still got the beef farm, but they turned all the cottages into holiday cottages, and they did weddings. They do like horse liveries. So there's like
horse liveries.
So there's like people leave. It's like a stable for your horse. You live on a farm, and then you come and it's like homes for horses, I guess.
Like a kennel kind of thing.
Yeah. Horse kennels.
Yes.
So they've got I think 25 stables or something like that. So they constantly because farming is difficult. They're constantly trying to like diversify and change and do other bits and bobs.
It's interesting because I've interviewed a few farmers or have come from farm backgrounds. So William Chase is a farmer.
Yeah.
William Chase did Tyrrell's crisps.
Okay, yeah.
And then Dashwater, I don't know if you know their parents were farmers, and there's definitely this just relentless, dogged work ethic that I see like that's a common theme from people I've spoken to.
Yeah. It's one that you kind of have to balance though, because like even now, like, so my parents very much they're like on the farm. Like to get them away from the farm is like you have to like drag them away.
We'll get a beef brisket burger. Come here, boy.
But it's like it's all consuming because there's always stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then like I find that in Black Bear, it's constant, and like Liz has to drag me out and be like, just fucking.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm asking selfishly, actually, because I'm. This is all I think about 24/7 a day, or even I will be thinking about other things, but then I'll just bounce back to this of like, it's because I always talk about this thing of like, or something I think about is battle versus boredom, like as a thing. Because I've done jobs where I've been really bored, like trying to sell peanut cups. Well, not that's just more just destroyed, but bored where you're just packaging cheese for railways. I was like, oh my god, like the minute goes, the seconds feel like minutes, the days feel like the hours feel like days. So I've done those jobs before, and I was like, well, you can either have the battle, which is super stressful, you can have the boredom, and I'd always take the battle.
100%.
And I think it means I'm always thinking about it. So how do you kind of separate Stu from the craziness of it all?
It's hard, I guess. It's like I feel like now because we've got bigger, we've actually got kind of more layers of management in. So the day-to-day issues are, I guess, a little bit less, but the overriding, like the bigger issues, are kind of just constantly there. Like your phone just constantly goes type thing. But I don't know. It's a tricky one. It's still something that I'm actually like trying to figure out as well, like how to have a nice balance, because it does just get. You're just constantly in it. Type thing.
What are some of the big issues you're facing now, like this week?
Well, before you got here, that toilet was blocked.
That was me, mate. No, I'm joking. I was quite literally a bear in the woods, mate.
So like, I still do. I'm actually speaking to a company now because I still even do like maintenance at the sites, like little bits and bobs.
What, like the odd job here?
Yeah, like literally, I did actually unblock that toilet.
That
earlier.
wasn't me, by the way. Yeah.
It was before you.
Yeah.
But because we kind of built every site ourselves and kind of from the ground up, I know every little aspect of it. But I'm just getting a company in now to kind of take over our like facility management type thing. But what was the question? So what takes up like
what are some of your
now?
big problems now? Because like as you say, there'll be other people listening to this. I think it's quite cathartic to like,
Yeah.
we're going through this, so unplugging toilets.
I think it's like I'm trying to focus on the things that really move the needle, so to speak. Like, because it's so easy to do the things that are kind of easier but are not impactful, if you know what I mean. So it's like, let's try to think of an example. A fryer's gone down here. Like, and my instant reaction is, I can probably fix that in like an hour. I'll go over there and fix it. Whereas in reality, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be looking at least for a new site and what the implication of that is for our future growth or whatever. Like I should be focused on the things that's helping to kind of grow the business or develop the team rather than the smaller issues that I shouldn't be spending my time on. That's the thing I struggle with is focusing my attention in the right space all the time.
Yeah, someone said to me it's like the impact versus busy zone.
Yeah.
And it's like so easy to be busy, but it's actually so hard to just stop and be like, well, actually this moves.
Yeah.
What is the Blackbird needle? Like, where are you trying to get to? Is it more sites? Like, how do you...
I guess because we're still like completely independent, so it's just me and Liz who
That's amazing.
only run the business. Yeah, we've done everything. We're basically just not taking anything out. We're just constantly just any revenue we've created just pour back in the business to help it grow. I think we want to grow it, kind of want to do it organically, especially kind of like for the next kind of hopefully a couple more sites. And then we don't really have like a set, we want to grow to 15 sites or revenue of this or whatever. It's kind of more opportunistic led. So kind of quite regularly get opportunities that come across us. It's like, this site's going to be available, blah, blah, blah. And if it's not the right fit, we're just like, okay, fine.
How do you work out where a site's going to be a good fit? Because I interviewed, in fact, I think you know him from Great, Charlie McVeigh.
Oh, yeah.
So he was talking to me about the oh my god, what was the pub, the chain of pubs he had?
Brew House.
Brew House.
Brew House. Yeah.
He said he opened a site which on paper was, game set match, pass me oranges, Dulwich Village, East Dulwich Village or Dulwich, whatever. Yeah. Like that's gonna work. People have got money. Like apparently it was fucked. It didn't work.
Yeah.
What's the art of picking the right site, in your opinion?
I don't think you ever truly know. I think a lot of it's gut, I guess.
But are you like measuring like the? Is there anything practically you can do, like the footfall? Or
so I take this site for example. So Exmouth Market. This was a Dirty Burger restaurant, and they kind of closed, maybe even pre-COVID, but it's closed throughout all COVID. And Exmouth Market is a really cool location, like al fresco dining in the winter, and then inside we've got this cool kind of vibe, basement vibe. But it was a burger restaurant before that had failed. So it's like if you look at that on paper, you're like, well, why are you going to make it work? Like if it was a Italian restaurant or something like that, you could spin it as like, oh, it's Italian, maybe there's a need for a burger here. But a burger restaurant obviously didn't work, closed. So I think a lot of it is kind of more gut, I think, because our offering is probably very different to what Dirty Burger was.
How so? As in, because it is interesting how because you're in it, that your offering is very different. And I don't mean this in a rude way, but like for a average punter walking down the road, they're like Dirty Burger, Black Bear Burger. Yeah, there's not much. Obviously,
they're probably like, that's probably going to fail in a few months.
What I'm trying to understand is Dirty Burger fails here. Why do you think? I know the intricacies of the way you make the burgers. Like, why do you think yours has worked?
I think on our restaurant side of things, our offering is our kind of like tagline is not your typical burger joint. So I kind of view our restaurants as a restaurant that does burgers rather than a burger restaurant. So our burgers are kind of our core things. Everyone comes because they see our burgers on Instagram, or someone says, you've got to go and try a brisket burger. But when people come here, what we try and do is then kind of exceed expectations in every other area. So it kind of, like our sides, there's only a few sides, and they're like 4 or 5 sides, but every one of them is kind of really well thought out to exceed expectations. So like our brisket spring rolls that we're kind of quite well known for now. Completely different dish, like it's slow cooked brisket with cheese and bacon and a little bit of pickles in spring roll paper. It's like deep fried and then served with pickles on the side and a bit of garlic mayo. So kind of a little bit like a brisket burger, but in a spring roll format. And it's those sorts of things that when people come, they try the burger. Hopefully we kind of wow them with that, and then they try one of the sides. So like I think our wings are some of the best in London, and it's those sorts of things. Go, oh, wow, this is like the burger's awesome, but these spring rolls are cool as well. And then we do like a little free ice cream at the end of the meal, and like the way we fit out the restaurant, it's very much you can come here for a quick lunch, or you can come here in the evening bring a date and kind of have like a nice meal with cocktails and a nice glass of wine as well. So it's kind of it's. I hate the word elevating because it's such a wanky word, but it's kind of taking that burger restaurant but making it more of a every occasion destination, but still at a good price point.
Yeah, but that you've answered my question perfectly. Is like, how did you take a burger place before that wasn't working?
Yeah, and
then reframe it to make it work. And you said we're not a burger joint. We're not a burger joint in a restaurant. We're a restaurant that does burgers, I think was what you said.
Yeah.
But that's how it's worked. And I think so. I want to talk about the sides because don't think I've ever actually had the.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever, mate. I'm going to turn into the Incredible Hulk, mate. I feel like a glutton right now. But So because the Honest Burger guys, I don't know if you know them.
Yeah, I've followed them.
Yeah, they focused a lot on the chips, which I think is interesting. Yeah. And I always think, how do you stand out versus your competition and stuff. So the relentless focus on the sides is really interesting because it's like it's not something I'd thought about, but it's like, oh, that's what's gonna. So you've got the what they called the
brisket spring rolls,
wings.
At the moment we've got on like a rare bit crumpet.
Yeah.
So it's like a crumpet with bovril butter, so like a beefy butter, Welsh rarebit on top. That'd be like blowtorch, confit garlic, and pickled shallots. So it's like all of our sides are kind of designed to be a bit smaller, a bit snacky, sharey. So say if there's a group of 4 of you, you can kind of get a few of them each and share them around.
What other sides are there? Is that those 3?
So then we just have like a really fresh slaw that we make fresh to order, just for something because everything is pretty fucking heavy.
Yeah.
And then we do fries. So similar to Honest, we hand cut our fries, double cook them, and then because if we're going to do it, there's so many burger places that might spend a load of time developing an awesome burger, but then if you're not doing the rest of the menu, that same service that you're doing to your burger, what's the point? So.
Yeah, it's like creating a football team and having a great striker, but then not having a great defense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So with the chicken wings, like you said, they're some of the best in London. I can't munch those boys. But what are they? What's your process to wings?
So we use the middle wing.
Middle wing.
So like if you look at a wing, it's got like the drum, so like the bit that goes like wider to thinner.
Yeah.
Then it's got the middle wing, which is like there's 2 bones in it. It's like this bit of your arm. So like this is the drum, this is the middle wing.
Yeah.
So it's got those 2 bones
so
and
then
the fat around
the other one.
And then it's got the little tip on the end, like the little bit of the wing.
Yeah.
So we just use this middle bit because for me it's.
Do you have the little that thing on there?
No.
I think that's really weird. Mate, when people
the wingtip,
when people send me wings, I don't want to know it's a chicken.
Yeah,
that sounds really bad.
No,
I'm like, what are you doing, mate?
It's like when Liz eats fish, she's like, I don't want to know it's a fish. It's weird. Yeah.
The head can fuck off.
Yeah. So it's just that middle bit, and then we have the way you cook it is we obviously get really good quality chicken, so that's like the biggest thing. Same with the beef, and then the way we cook it is because we coat it and a lot of the flavours in the breading, but we cook it fresh to order. There's loads of different techniques you can do of that, and we experiment with all of them. But our technique for our wings is a one cook wing, at about 170 degrees. But loads of flavour comes in the batter that's on the outside, and getting the right thickness of batter so that the chicken doesn't dry out in the centre. And then it's just I'm actually but we do like a probably best selling wings, like a buffalo and blue cheese wing, which is like, and that's kind of a bit of a nod to Canada, because in the like we lived in Whistler, so we were in that ski town, and every place does wings, and it's always like buffalo wings, and they're not actually that good there, to be honest. But it was when we were like developing it, we just had that kind of that reminiscing of like sitting in a ski bar, drinking jugs of beer, eating chicken wings.
It's one of life's greatest joys.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever done that though. But like, that's enough. I've definitely eaten wings, been at a ski bar and drunk beer, but never all in one here. But the what I want to talk about is 20-foot chicken.
Yeah.
20-foot
fried chicken.
Sorry, fried chicken.
Yeah.
Is a lot of people say focus.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting. But the whole point of this podcast is there's no right. There's a gazillion different ways to do anything, right? And that's the beauty of everything.
Yeah.
I think. Why did you create a sub brand or different brand actually called 20-foot?
So it was born out.
Why 20-foot?
I'll tell that story. So it was born out of lockdown. So in lockdown, so when you're eating your brisket burger, we did, because we had the whole restaurant empty, we basically cleared it out and made another kitchen in the restaurant in Brixton. So we did fried chicken, had a fryer, a toaster in where all the seats were, and basically did two brands on Deliveroo when we were closed for lockdown. So then it was called Black Bear Fried Chicken.
So it sort of doubled your volume, basically.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It wasn't quite as busy, but it was like just an additional thing.
Yeah.
So then we did that. Then post lockdown, we kind of kept it on Deliveroo, because it's really the reason we kind of started doing it initially was going back to the story where people come into the restaurant, they're getting a beef burger, and then they try the fried chicken. We used to do nuggets, which we're trying to bring back, which are basically like pieces of chicken breasts. This is so fucking good. And everyone used to kind of rave about that, and we were like, actually, our fried chicken's so good that it could stand on its own and do its own thing. So then opportunity came in market halls. We always had it in the back of our mind. We were like, we'd like to launch this kind of fried chicken sister brand to Black Bear. Same sort of ethos in terms of quality and like flavour-led dishes, but a chicken version. And then a site came up with market halls who we were trading with, and we were like, fuck it, let's give it a go. And then we didn't want to call it Black Bear Fried Chicken because it just wasn't quite right. We wanted it to be its own thing that could stand on its own 2 feet, no pun intended. But the name was it's quite an embarrassing story. It's a long story. Basically, there's an episode in Alan Partridge where there's this he's having a go at farmers, and he's like, you make pigs smoke, and you've got 20-foot chickens in your sheds. And it's one me and my brother used to watch, and we used to laugh about, and one of my mates from uni. And then I do a bit of like painting in the background.
You do?
Yeah, just at home, like a bit, it's pretty shit. But for one of my best mates who's my best man, we had this joke, and I drew him these massive chickens as like a painting for his present for being my best man. And then we were trying to think of like a name because we didn't want to call it Black Bear Fried Chicken. And it's actually hanging in my house because he went to New York and he was like, I'm not taking that fucking piece of shit with me. So it's on our hallway, and I was coming down the stairs and I saw it and I was like, 20-foot fried chicken, perfect. And it's the same logo. So the logo of that is of the painting, same painting.
Alan Partridge is hilarious. He's got that thing where he's like, I'm clinically fed up.
Yeah.
I feel like that a lot.
I need to like try and reach out to him and get him to come down to 20 foot. It's fucking hilarious. But that program is just it's amazing because I spend a lot of my time in my car. Yeah.
Editing like a lot of my because I listen to the podcast back when I'm driving. That's how I kind of edit, not like editing it whilst I'm driving, but but they're like, and obviously I'm in the car driving to do podcasts basically, but I'm not in London. My mates are like, you're basically like David Brent and Alan Partridge with driving gloves, you know what I mean? It's like, but like, I'm in the office, mate, on the move, glass of coffee in hand. Yeah, that's amazing. And then how, one thing I want to talk about is there's a I'm not going to say who it is, but someone came on, is it in food, and has got like a banging restaurant, and he basically said that someone was a customer and then came in and is now open basically the same. I mean,
really? Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you afterwards, but like,
yeah,
I mean, they look the fucking same.
really.
Do you know what I mean? How do you kind of because obviously loads of people can come in and try and there's so many burger joints now. Like, how do you navigate that? Like, not copying other people's, and like if other people copy you, like
I think it's kind of why we've tried to not just be just about our burgers. So like having those extra elements of like the sides that people talk about and stuff like that. It's kind of like diversifying your offering a little bit. But like you said at the beginning, there's always like new entries into the market, always going to look at what's out there and then kind of do their own iteration on it. And there's always going to be another burger brand that's kind of an up-and-coming burger brand. That's what we were, and I think we still are to an extent. But the pie's big enough for everyone, I think, really. Like,
yeah, that's a really good way of putting it.
Right, it's like I said before, everyone loves a fucking burger, and if you're in that kind of top tier of burgers, then you're gonna there's enough for everybody to go around.
But I think that what you've said there about the size is actually your unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Or that's your defensible thing.
Yeah,
and it feels. This is. I always pull out like the two interesting things. I think one of the things is that you're a restaurant. Well, here specifically, you're a restaurant that sells burgers. I think is what you said. I can't remember. Yeah. But then also actually people think we're the burgers, but actually what our kind of unsung defensible brand. Is the size.
It's everything else. Yeah.
Yes.
It's that's your kind of centerpiece, but it's all those other bits around it. It's like because we're kind of doing two things. We've got the restaurants, which is a lot easier to build that individual brand, but we're also doing the food halls and the kind of the quick service restaurant side of things. But I think you can still build your own niche in those bits as well.
How do those food halls? I don't really understand how they work, because the market halls in Fulham just didn't work. I don't like. What's the nuts and bolts of it?
I think market halls in particular, they've kind of got their concept right now in terms of I think the Fulham one I think was quite small, and they
Canary Wharf was the other one, right?
Canary Wharf, Victoria, Oxford Street, and you need a big venue with lots of footfall essentially, because you need that churn of people going through. But I think they're really good because they're relatively straightforward to get open. So talking about market halls, they'll basically build most of the structure. Your kitchen's there. You kind of come in and fill it with your equipment. You do your facade. So in terms of capex, it's relatively like cash that you need to get it up and running.
Sure.
It's relatively low, and it's a bit of a joint piece between them pulling in people with their branding and all the 8 traders that are in there, all working together to get people through the door. So your footfall is generally, because it's usually in a good location, you get really high footfall as well. So you don't have, typically with like a restaurant, you open and then it takes like a few months for the word to get around that you're there. People come try it. They go, oh, that brisket burger's really fucking good. And then they tell their mates and you kind of build from there. Like here, it took us maybe 9 months to really kind of get like into our groove. Whereas a food hall is usually pretty busy straight off the bat. And I think they're great actually. You can work with both things because food halls really serve their purpose. We purposely have just a menu of burgers and
you
fries.
can't get the brisket, can you?
No, we don't have enough room for because we slow cook it.
Yeah, no, but that's what I was getting eggy because I was like, I'm getting the brisket one when I first went with Raz.
Yeah.
And
because
I was flabbergasted that it wasn't on the menu.
So the kitchens are pretty tight.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Yeah, so it's like you can't physically fit enough equipment in there to do your whole menu. And also, you want to... Well, if we could add the brisket burger, we would on there. But we don't
also, I suppose it drives people to the restaurant because it gives... It's like, well, if you like that, come and have the biscuit burger. And yeah, that's smart.
Same as like, we don't do our spring rolls on Deliveroo, actually, because we want people... Well, one, operationally, it's a bit easier. But two, we can't... I want people to come into the restaurant to get the proper full experience. So not having a full restaurant menu on Deliveroo means that they might try a burger and be like, oh, that's really good. But because people message saying, can you put your spring rolls on Deliveroo?
Come to the restaurant, mate.
One, the chefs would fucking kill me because they take ages to prep. And they'd be like...
What? Talk me about the brisket burger. Like, how did you create this thing of wondrous joy?
So it's kind of like most of our burgers are usually centered around our twist on a classic cheeseburger or bacon cheeseburger. Whereas our brisket burger is a bit more of like a meat lover's burger. So beef, cheese, little onions underneath as well. And then the brisket is take a whole brisket, portion it down, sear it off, and then slow cook it in beer and beef stock, about 12 hours. Then drain off that braising liquid, make a sauce out of that. And then the brisket we pull and then add a load of the little bits and bobs into it. Portion it down, and then for service we basically reheat that up with the cooking juices, and it goes on top of the burger. And then some pickled red onions just cut through, garlic mayo.
Oh my god, yeah, it's insane. How do you keep the quality with on Deliveroo? So I remember actually it was Roger from Box Park.
Oh yeah. What was he saying?
He went he went in on Dishoom saying that the quality of his casa wasn't as good from on Deliveroo, and he was like, it's actually brand not
damaging to the brand.
Brand aside in some respects, in that it's like killing off the brand. But so how do you navigate that between getting your burger to like
couple of things we do it. So we're now like over the years we've kind of progressively done kind of more and more on delivery, and we kind of build it into when we designed this place. We have, when you walk out, you'll see there's a little hot holding cabinet at the front, so under where the till is, and that's where once we cook the burgers, we bag it up, it goes in there, and it keeps it warm, because typically there's always like 3 to 5 minutes between the driver getting here and actually getting the food, and then it just gets cold. So we try and put in processes which means that we can actually deliver the best quality as we can. Then also things like the packaging. So we have like our own branded bags that's like really nice thick quality bags. We're trying to emulate the quality of our restaurant. We're trying to send it to their home as well.
Yes.
And we have there's like QR codes on our delivery bags and on our website as well, which basically talks about fries, because we spend a lot of time sourcing the right potatoes, cutting them, washing them, cooking them twice, and then you stick them in a bag and they get delivered 50 minutes down the road and they come out soggy. And we used to get so many complaints about cold fries, and then we put flies in. We've got the QR code on there, and you basically scan it and it says, next time you get your delivery, your fries are probably cold. Sorry. But next time, do this. And it gives like instructions of how you like heat the oven when the ride is X amount away, and then instructions of what to do when it gets back. And it's like a 5-minute process, if that. So that as soon as you get a delivery, you put it in, and it changes. It basically educates customers saying, look, we physically, there's no way we can get you hot and crispy. But if you do this, you need a tiny bit more work, but you can have pretty much the same experience you get in house.
I think, David Brent's like, some complaints will be false. Your fries are crispy, mate. Yeah. No, but that's genius in terms of like pre. Well, one, it's beautiful because it's a great touch point in terms of the storytelling on using everything.
Yeah.
I think I was with this morning, Perry, who's a genius. He came up with this term called packvertising, which is how you turn your packaging into advertising or storytelling. So that you've turned what is a Deliveroo bag into a piece of storytelling. You've
you've used that as a vehicle to create this energy of warmth and kind of warm Canadian hospitality, but then the QR code to preheat your chip. I just think that's it's just so clever how to like just to say your chips are probably going to be cold.
Yeah, it says like on the top of our fry it says fucking fries basically, and it's like you're probably eating soggy chips right now, and then it just like goes into the information. And when we started doing that, the amount of complaints we got about cold fries just dropped completely off, because it's that educational piece, and it's like we're sorry we can't do it, but here's a way around it.
Are there any other moments where you've had like big complaints, or one of the questions I always ask guests is the obstacle is the way? So like there's a book called The Obstacle is the Way, which is it's basically we'll have like an obstacle, and actually retrospectively it's a way forward.
Yeah.
On your journey, has there been any of like some obstacles where you're just like that actually you're like that was the way forward?
I guess you could say COVID, right? And like how if there wasn't COVID, we wouldn't have 20-foot fried chicken, because it and also kind of what I was just speaking about on the Deliveroo side of things, like it reframed our mind of being Deliveroo used to be something just on the side. It was like focus on your in-house sales, and then this is just like a thing that's on in the background. And then COVID hit, and then like our delivery sales kind of really grew because everyone was getting delivery. And then that's then turned into now every site that we open, how can we make that delivery experience as good as possible, and how can we build it into new sites so that a site that might not work on paper, if you add an element of delivery onto it as well, it kind of changes the metrics of the site.
What are the splits between Deliveroo and burger sales? Burger sales?
Yeah. Like in-house delivery.
Yeah.
So it varies by site quite a lot.
Yeah.
But it can get as high as like 45-50% in some sites. Like it's like some of the sites it's like a core part of the thing. Other sites it's so like Canary we don't do any, because actually the landlords, not market halls, their landlords don't allow us to. But yeah, and other sites like here it's quite high, but not nowhere near those 40%. So it varies site by site, kind of kitchen by kitchen. But whenever we're looking at potential new site, it's never going to go away, and you've kind of got to lean into it. You can't kind of fight it.
Yeah.
And if you can set up your operation where you can still do all of your in-house, but also do that delivery on top of it, it means your labour's you're not adding any additional labour costs, but you can still do additional volume. So. And
then what's the because I've interviewed there's a restaurant called that David Bowie pub.
Yeah,
that David Bowie pub, but it's not that at all. It's called the Cartford Inn. But but they were basically saying to me like hospitality right now is with they were fighting for like a VAT reduction. Mm-hmm. Obviously, cost of living, cost of pricing going up, cost of rent going up. Like a lot of people have said, it's like it's really hard. Like, how are you navigating and making that or trying to make that work in these times?
I always try and have like a positive outlook on most things, like just generally in life. And it's, to be honest, since we've started, we've never really we don't really know any different, to be honest. Like we started, like when we opened Brixton, we were open about a month before COVID hit. So we've been constantly in this either COVID-y or Brexit-y or cost of living crisis. There's just been one after the other. So it's kind of the norm for us. So we don't know what it was like before, when it was probably a lot easier. But I mean, this last kind of year or two, you have to be annoyingly like laser focused on every bit of your margin, which you probably didn't need to 4 or 5 years ago. It was like you just open, your prices aren't changing. You set your price, and it's just like, yeah, cool. Like we'll make this margin, but it's busy enough that it's going to.
What's what's the standard margin requirement for most burger restaurants? You think?
It kind of varies. I think somewhere at like 70, 75. I think.
Yeah.
A percent of like your gross profit margin. But it's been every month. It's kind of you just constantly get like knocked down, and you just have to kind of like tweak things and change things around to try and get back to something sensible. But I think in general in the casual dining sector, it's fairly positive. I think like most of our sites are trading pretty well at the moment. There's a few which kind of fluctuate in between kind of good and bad. But I think with our sort of price point and our offering, it's something which people can afford and kind of come back a couple times a month and do. I think the kind of more premium end of the market is where people are probably a little bit more like, oh, I can't really afford to go out to that restaurant tonight. That's like a bit too much out my price range. Whereas I think our sector, and like the food tools, I think why they're doing so well at the moment is you can go with like a group of 6 or 8 of you, and say if there's a couple of people in the group that don't have the disposable cash as anybody else, they can just go and get something that's like a little bit less indulgent.
Yeah, it's a bit unfair.
Yeah.
Sat there with a Kit Kat whilst your mate's smashing out a... you can have a Kit Kat because you're skinny.
Yeah, you can have one of my chips. But like it's...
I know what you mean though, yeah. I'm just visiting like eight blokes night out. There's like 7 geezers smashing into a burger, and then there's the guy on the end eating a Kit Kat.
You right, mate?
Yeah, you're right.
Nice.
Yeah, have a break, mate. Yeah, that's hilarious.
I think so. When I worked in Canary Wharf, like back in the day, this is pre-burgers. Because I worked at Chevron, which is over there, and it was like, say there's a group of you, like 6 or 8 of you. Like you've got people that are junior, like myself, and then like some of the big ones. And they're like, oh, let's go to fucking Sticks and Sushi, or let's go here for lunch. And you're walking there over there going, is this going to be on the company card, or are we going to pay for this? Yes. And it's like, whereas if you're going to like a food hall, it's like, all right, everyone can get their own thing, and it's pretty kind of
it's
chill.
Democratized the access to food, which is really interesting. And also, I think it's what the arcade one's on. I've been to the arcade one in Battersea. I've been to both actually.
Yeah, I haven't been to the Battersea one yet.
Yeah, the Battersea one's sick. But what I was like, your access to a whole, you can go there and
they've done it a different way, haven't they? They've kind of
so it's down.
It's like a food hall restaurant.
Yeah, food hall restaurant. But what I think that's really interesting is more people are going to get access to food, because it's like, instead of saying, right, I'm going to a Korean restaurant tonight, like where my whole meal is going to be Korean, you can go there and get a Korean starter, and you can get your spag bowl if they do spag bowl there.
There's like, you can get your manor burgers there, so you can get a burger there, for instance.
But it means more people are trying more kind of interesting foods. I think the food scene in London I think it was like 2011 was this tipping point where it just, I think it was the social media, more people like yourself, like beginning to think, well, I can actually have a career in food. Like, what are some of the restaurants, like it's exploding, like the food scene here is insane. What are some of the restaurants that really, like weird restaurants that excite you? Or like, where do you venture out to?
Well, I've always got a list of places that I want to go, and then I never fucking go because...
What's on the list?
Actually, one I went to recently was what's it called? Oma, which is that David Carter. So he did Smokestack.
Oh, that's delicious.
He's
Is that still going, Smokestack?
Yeah. So he's got Smokestack, and then they did Manteca, which he did with another guy.
Yeah.
And so we went and had his food at Oma. It's like a Greek. They've got 2. So Oma's on the top, and then it's Agora, I think, is underneath, which is more kind of casual dining underneath, and a little bit more fine dining. Well, not fine dining, but a bit elevated above. Went and had food there the other week. That was awesome. It was really good.
What did you have?
We had some like octopus skewers with smoked sausage, and then loads of like dips and the little flatbreads they make. Oh, they're so good.
Dips and flatbreads. I've always thought about. There should be someone like, the crisps abroad are so much better.
Yeah. 3Ds.
Yeah.
3Ds and Boogles. They're my favourite.
The crisp abroad. I always think this is a Rory Sutherland thing. It's like crisp abroad tastes better because you're by the sea.
Yeah, totally.
But I really think there should be a business where you do dips and crisps. And
there was one in.
Oh, really?
It's probably shut, to be honest. It's a bit of a. It was in Soho. I'm pretty sure it was like fresh made crisps, and then you just literally get loads of dips on it
from cocktail ketchup. Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that I bet money that it's closed. To be fair.
Subscription service. So like,
as
in, you know, like for families. I mean, it's probably a shit idea. But, it's an idea, but as in, like, you know, maybe I'm the only customer, but it's like each month you get 4 different flavors of crisps around the world.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
4 different dips. And then,
to be fair, I would get that.
Yeah.
But it has. Well, there's ones I love, which is from my childhood. Because when we were young, we used to go on holiday to like Spain or Gran Canaria. That's where my uncle lives. So we always used to go there. And there's these. I think we can get them here now. They're called 3Ds. They're like little volcano-shaped crisps. Oh, fucking. Yeah. Whenever we go there, like me and my brothers always text each other and go like the picture of these crisps. We're like.
Also, what they did in Costa Rica, which was a mindfuck, is it wasn't that much of a mindfuck. It's that they would have they'd have like 3 different flavors in one bag. so like imagine having like having,
that can't work.
Yeah, but imagine having like Twiglets prawn cocktail and Skips all in one bag, which was I was eating it thinking this is so fucking rank.
That's so strange.
I know, and I was like, I just want some Lay's hamon. Do you know what I mean? They're so delicious. Yeah. So you've been there. What are the other like kind of restaurants that you're taking inspiration from that isn't a burger chain? Because I think the beauty of London is you can kind of be like an octopus and just really like get loads of different. As you were saying, like the reason you like this podcast is because you can get little ideas from everywhere.
Yeah.
Where do you go to get those ideas physically?
I think I'm trying to think really. I guess like operators. So somewhere like Flatiron, which I think I've just got such a cool business model. Like to be able to replicate something that like they do, I'd love to be able to do.
What's that? Because I interviewed Ocean Rogers from the Devonshire.
Yeah.
And his business partner
is
Charlie.
Charlie. Yeah.
What? And then I actually interviewed Libby from Piper, who did. They're the one who sold it.
Oh right, okay.
She was really interesting, and they both basically. What's the genius of their operation?
Well, it's just I remember when it first opened, and it was just like, how has no one ever thought of this before? Like, a flat iron steak that's like a tenner that you can just go, like there are queues out the door everywhere. It was like that's such a good idea because every other steakhouse is so kind of unattainable on a regular visit. Like if you're going to drop 50, 60 quid at least every time you go to a steakhouse, whereas this you can be in and out for like 15, 20 quid max.
Yeah.
But I think what they've done is like they always have kind of cool interiors, and I think that's something that whenever we're looking at restaurants, we're trying to get the vibe of the interior to kind of match the food. And I think they do a really good job on that because it's really well fitted out and gives the element of like a more sophisticated steakhouse, but it's really good value for money. And yeah, they're like food offering kind of similar to us in that it's quite like pared back, but it's really consistent and good quality. So yeah, they're always someone that I'm like, they've nailed it. That's like what I'd love to be able to do.
What are some of the, you talked about like operator and systems, and I think we said before we hit record, we're like, that's not actually it's definitely not my bag.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the systems that have really, what I think about when I think about systems, there's this quote I love, which is slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
And that's for me, who's fast is fast, which is chaos, right?
Yeah,
so that's my default setting. And what Osh from the Devonshire was saying is Osh is chaos, Charlie's order, Ashley, who's the fat duck chef, is perfection.
Yeah.
Great little marriage.
Lovely.
What are some of the systems you've put in place that have added order to your kind of natural chaos? And chaos is a good thing.
Yeah. So I think when we back in Brixton days when we first opened, it was like me and Liz. So Liz was front of house. She was like people hiring, setting kind of the tone and the culture front of house. I was back of house and numbers essentially. And you could run it quite easy with just the two of you there. And then as we kind of grown, I used to think I was quite like organised, but I'm really not. I used to think I was quite like numbers driven and like would have things in spreadsheets. I thought I was like quite processy, but I'm really not.
What was the moment you realised that?
Well, so when we had Maggie, our first baby, that was like during the first lockdown, and then Liz kind of stepped back, and initially I kind of took over her role as well because things weren't really open. And then after a short period of time, I was like, fucking hell, I can't do this. This is like too much. So we hired an operations manager, Seb, who's still with us now, and he's kind of my right-hand man. And yeah, I thought I was quite like organised, structured and processy. And then he's come from more of an operational background, and just his personality is very much like that anyway. And then when he's brought in a lot of kind of processes to help us grow, because when you're one or two sites, you can quality control very really quickly. You can fix things. You don't need as many processes in place because you're just there constantly. And as soon as you kind of grow to a few more sites, you physically can't be in those sites, so you have to put in training manuals and training processes and SOPs and like all these other bits and bobs, so that there's accountability with other people, and people know what's expected of them when you're not there, essentially. But yeah, he came in and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely not that organised. So he's kind of really helped bring a little bit, because he's got that outside experience of other restaurants and bigger places. I think he worked at Gaucho. He kind of came up through their ranks initially. So he's been able to draw on the processes that other bigger businesses have and help implement them with us, because we've never had that experience. So
one thing I want to ask you is when you're a small bubber at wherever the first one was, Brick Lane. Was it Brick Lane?
Well, Shoreditch was our first.
When you're having the fun and it's small.
Oh, okay, like Broadway Market.
Yeah,
it's like street foodie vibe.
And it's, you get to 4 p.m. You're going taking your mates for a few beers.
Yeah.
C'est la vie. And then
good old days.
The good old days
Yeah.
is what I suppose my question is, how do you keep the good current days?
Yeah.
And I suppose, how do you keep having fun as the business gets bigger and more serious? Because I think as you scale, more systems come in. But I think a lot of founders, they struggle to be like, well, this isn't the good old days.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you try and maintain having fun with everything you're doing?
Cocktail training session.
Cleaning out the bulk.
Yeah, literally. Fucking hell. It's hard. You do sometimes get a bit. You sometimes have to like sit back and appreciate what's kind of what you built and what you've got. So occasionally I'll sit in Brixton, or I'll sit here in Exmouth at like the counter over the kitchen, and I'll just have a beer and I'll just kind of sit there and just listen to the hum of the restaurant, or I'll be in Canary Wharf and just kind of like watch the guys working. And that's kind of, you need to force yourself to kind of like forget about because every day there's shit that's going on. There's literally fires that are being put out, but you need to kind of just every now and then just ignore that and be like, oh, this is pretty fucking sick what we've built here now.
Yes.
And I love new openings. That's why I get really excited, because it's a creative side, I think, of it. It's like, I love looking at new sites and like seeing like, how can we squeeze this in there, or how many covers could we do here, and what if could we get a smoker in here, or blah blah blah.
Well, I love that. That's just a glorious piece of wisdom, which is just listen to the hum.
Yeah,
it's like so easy to just think of the next, it's like just, whoa, listen to that. I'm going to start using that because I don't do that.
Yeah, I just love just sit there every now and then, and you can hear the guys speaking to customers, hear customers like laughing, and just the noise.
I know you're the boss.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
Good day, sir.
How's your burger, mate?
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah. That's hilarious.
But I love just the sound of the kitchen as well, just like that, like the plating up of stuff, and because we have all these little metal plates that we make, and they always like clanging around the kitchen, and it's like, yeah, it's nice just to.
So Richard Corrigan's got the book called The Clatter of Knives and Forks, or The Clatter of Knives, Forks and Spoons, which is like, when you're at a restaurant. Yeah,
yeah.
Like that, I think that is your listening.
Yeah,
to the hum. I
love
love that. Just the name for his book is the Clatter of Knives, Forks and Spoons, I think it is.
Oh, really?
Which is brilliant. Final thing to wrap up on, mate, is what's been the hardest. You said you get the creative juice and the kind of the energy
So I think one of the things I think about is as you get bigger, you've got to try and do the things that give you, there's things that take energy and give energy.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not a utopia where you can just do the things that give you energy, but like trying to do more of these things versus less of these things is a sweet spot. What's been the hardest sort of site you've opened, and like talk me through that process?
Brixton, I reckon.
First one.
Yeah, because it's like when you we're in a much better place now where you've got a few sites, and we've got like 5+1, I say, and like generally you a little bit safety in numbers. If like 3 or 4 of them doing well and one doesn't do quite as well that week, typically the next week that one does a bit better and then another one doesn't. So it's kind of gets spread out a little bit more. With Brixton, it was like our first restaurant. We had Box Park open, but it was completely new. And when we opened, we had like a little soft launch where we had people for the first week. We had to like 50% off or something. So it's busy for the first week, and then it just died, and it was just dead. And we knew, like everyone said to us, like, or like whenever you read stuff, it's like it takes 6 months to a year for like you to get busy, but you just think, no, it will be all right. It won't be us. And it wasn't. It was like Tuesday, Wednesday lunchtime, just no one in at lunch. I was just like sat in the corner.
What were the
like,
thoughts in your head at that period of
you're
time?
just like, you fucked it. Like literally like, it's like, what if no one comes? And you're like, and then you get to the evening and it gets a little bit busier. But it's just, that was tricky because we then have to like, when did we open? I think we opened in like November.
What year is this?
It's 2019. And then a couple months and kind of Christmas kind of got a little bit busier. And then January kind of died off. And then we just started to pick up again. And then it was COVID.
Yeah, well, I didn't realise that it was that recent in Brixton. Because I must have been having the burgers like just when it would open. I thought it'd been going since like 2016.
Yeah, no, probably like 6 months or so we've been there.
Oh.
But that was, when we opened there, we were like, oh, fuck, we've like, fuck this. And we were just like, oh, it will get better. Like, we just have to relax, but you can't. Like, you know that it probably will, but when you've got nobody coming through the door, you're not thinking, oh, it'll be all right. So
what are you thinking?
You're thinking, right, what can we do? Like, why isn't anybody coming in? Like, is the food wrong? Is the hip hop shit? Like, what? It's, you question everything, and I think you just naturally do anyway. Like, even when I'm looking at a new site, even if you think it's going to be great, there's still that bit inside of like, what if it's not? What if it's shit and we have to close? Like, it's, you always question yourself, but I think that's natural. I think it's probably.
How did you get punters through the door?
Well, it kind of, it did eventually just do it naturally. I mean, it was all over the shop because we reopened for takeaway, which is 70 burgers, and then it was eat out to help out when everything reopened again, and that was a good Kickstarter. Actually, I think that was a really good campaign because that got people out and eating again. And then it's always, I think, with the restaurants.
That was like a moment in time which was like, this is so banging.
It's
just
crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mad. And like, we were kind of, it's kind of sad because when we reopened, there was like 3 restaurants around us that didn't make it through and they had all closed. So it's like us, we had Frank Manca down the end and Salon, which is like a fine dining place in Market Row. And all 3 of us basically just had the whole length of the market. So we just put shit ton tables out. And it was awesome. Like, that kind of like kickstarted it back going again. And then word gets out, and it's, if you're constantly delivering consistently like quality food and service, then you'll be all right, and it kind of builds up.
If there's a brand or if there's a person who's setting up a street food venue or a restaurant and they're in that situation where punters aren't coming through the door,
yeah.
What's one piece of wisdom you could almost like tattoo there for them to see?
God, I don't know really. That's a really tricky question because it's like there's so many aspects to it, isn't there? It's like, is it the right location? Like, if you've done all your homework and most things are there for you, then I guess it's just local marketing as well. You can literally go out there and flyer offices around there. I don't think you can ever take it for granted that people are just going to turn up. So you have to be creative, whether it's like running competitions on social media, like hooking up with a load of influencers to get them down to come and kind of run a competition to get people down in there. Or like, I think in like Exmouth to begin with, we ran a load of like lunchtime offers just to get lunchtime trade up, and then we slowly kind of scaled them back because we're not really in an offery type of place. But it's just constantly kind of tweaking and playing around with stuff. You can never kind of just rest on your laurels and be like, oh yeah,
Rest on laurels.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Ricky Gervais thing?
Oh no, I haven't.
Guess what you're doing? I'm resting on my laurels after this thing. Stu, mate, I've loved that. Thank you. It's been so. I think for me personally now, every time I munch one of your burgers, I've just got all this delicious storytelling and texture around it. Love what you're doing. So yeah, huge thank you, mate.
Thanks for coming down, mate. Let's
munch.
Get you a brisket spring roll. And a beer.